Since caveman walked the earth, we've always done our computing with electricity. Well, maybe not the caveman, but from the first processors, electricity was kind of the thing. And ever since then, we now have massive supercomputers all built on electrical connectivity. And the way we do things like addition and multiplication is through things called transistors, things called switches. And that's how we do our compute, and that's what consumes power, and that's why we have things like cycles and timing and circuits. And at the end of the day, you get a result of 2 + 2 = banana because your AI model is actually terrible. One other way of doing compute is with light. And that sounds a bit wishy-washy. We do have things like analog compute, we have things like quantum compute, but light is interesting because if you can get light to interact at the speed of light, you get near instantaneous compute. And one of the holy grails in non-von Neumann computing, which is just a fancy way of saying not the standard we have today, is how can we get light to interact with itself or interact with other light beams in order to do things like addition, multiplication, and just do all the funky stuff that's required. Optical compute isn't really that new. It's been researched for ages, and we've seen a number of startup companies come and go with this idea of optical compute. Now, one of the startup companies that came with the idea of optical compute, but kind of pivoted away to optical networking, is called Lightmatter. But they didn't stop working on the optical compute side. They announced a product probably 3 years ago at this point, called Envise. This was an optical chiplet using the optical interposer technology that somehow enabled light to combine for additions and multiplications at a reasonable type of scale. The thing is, it turns out the structures you need to do compute in light are much bigger than 7 nanometer transistors. Again, 7 nanometers is not a name. They're actually 2840 metal pitch. But the whole point being is that you actually need either microns or 500 to 700 nanometers to do something like combining 2 wavelengths of light to do an addition or a multiplication or what have you. And as a result, it means the chip size gets massive. Now, the power is still quite low. You're paying the power of a laser. The power per operation is massively low, but you still need to go build it. You still need to do it at scale, and you still need to enable the end-to-end. Then you've got to work out how to put light in. Is that an on-chip laser? Is that an off-chip laser? You've also got to understand how do you convert your data, which is probably electrical, into optical, and then bring it back out in a form that makes sense. And that's been a lot of the difficulty of why this research is taking so long to get to market. Now, I'm not saying Lightmatter has come to market, but they did show off a really impressive demo that I'm actually allowed to show you now. I took all these photos that you're going to see here at Supercomputing 2024, which was in November. It's currently April 25, and I've finally been given the go-ahead now that the paper related to some of this stuff is now available in Nature. I'll put a link in the description and in the comments if you want to go find that paper. I'm not sure whether it's open access or whether you have to pay for it, but if you have access and you want to read it, definitely go for it. So this is the Envise package. This is, if you just look to the chip, this is what it looks like. Looks like a normal BGA processor, except you've got fibers coming in and out of the top. On the left here is the card itself. So the idea being that you put this on a PC in a PCIe slot. You have some sort of probably FPGA PCIe controller that speaks to not only the accelerator card, but then you've also got some lasers on the end of the cards. That's why you see the 2 heat sinks at the top here. They're providing the light into the chip, and then somehow you get data in, data out. It says in the middle here, photonic computing and analog processing, ultra high-speed matrix vector products, 4 photonic cores with 128 by 128 systolic arrays. It doesn't say what bit depth the arrays are. We might get to that in a second. A software kit and running advanced neural network models. And that's what I got to see. There's nothing much to see on the chip here other than just this image that they have. And that's all pretty much I see. But what I did get to go see at the time was their backroom demos. And what they showed me was this, a black box. Inside they had a server running one of their Envise cards. They didn't let me look in the server to see how it was running, how they've got it set up. They just said, trust us, it's working. And what they showed off was this demo. And I'm going to play the video just as B-roll for a second, just for you to understand what's going on. And you might hear some of my comments as I'm watching this. think it's playing better than me. Yeah. So this demo, Lightmatter are calling Atari, and you can perhaps guess why. This is showing the hardware, the optical hardware playing an Atari game. Now I have to specify here, because sometimes it's not obvious, it isn't running the game in the same way a computer would, in the same way a console would. It's acting as a player interacting with the game. So you have the game running, in this case, it's showing it running in a browser, probably on just a regular CPU. The output of the game, the video output, is then passed into a neural network model on the photonic processor, on Envise. The photonic processor then decides what action it should do on the next frame, sends it back to the chip, and then it essentially presses the button on the controller, what have you. Maybe it will do the Konami code if it can. The idea being that with the right neural network model, it can understand what to do in a game and then provide you with a max score. In this case, you can see on the right, and I'll balloon up some pictures here, it was playing hundreds of games over the day. Each game, it counted how many frames it processed. So in the top game here, it's almost 12,000 frames, and it wasn't running at 60 FPS. This is probably running 30 at best. So that's still a pretty good game. And at the bottom, it's also keeping track of how many points the character scored, because it just looks like a standard scroll down, shoot 'em up type of thing. Avoid the bad guys, shoot the bad guys, that sort of thing. I think the key thing here for anybody wondering how it's working is the neural network model. And if I can go to it here. This is the picture I took, and we'll zoom into it. It's just a really basic convolutional neural network. At the top, the numbers here, it says 1 by 4 by 84 by 84. What I believe this stands for is 84 by 84 pixels at 4-bit color depth. And just with a standard CNN, a standard vision network, like we did back in the day, in the early days of AI when they announced this, it goes through some functions, it goes through convolutions, it goes through a function called ReLU, flattens it, does a gem, and at the end of it, this bottom bit here, it says 1 by 9. So choosing one of 9 outputs every time that this function is called. So that's probably left, right, start, select, fire, and then maybe some combinations like left and fire, right and fire. I don't think this game enabled up and down. It doesn't look like it's the sort of game that would. But this is a photonic processor not running a game, but playing a game. And arguably playing the game is a bit easier, even if you're crap at it. I'm pretty sure a 2-year-old will be able to outperform this, but a 2-year-old has a brain. This has a convolutional neural network based on photonic cores. It's a start, it's not there yet. And I have to wonder, what's going to come first, quantum computing or photonic computing? My bet's on quantum computing. I know a bit more about quantum computing though, and I know so many companies there that have the roadmaps. I know that there are a bunch of companies trying to enable photonic computing with light and say, we are the next big thing. This is what's going to enable ultra low latency, ultra low power AI. But right now we're here. This is really early baby steps. And I'm not too sure where it's going to go in the future unless we can start to scale the optical compute. Maybe we end up with an optical cube of compute. I definitely want that on my desk. Do you?